So what we really want to focus on as well is, of course, answering your questions. That's why we're here. We are here to work with you. What I would say as well, just as a little reminder to everybody, is there is a button. If you haven't already, you can enter into the prize draw. At the end of this session, which is coming up in, I think, just under 30 minutes, we are going to be announcing 2 winners. If you are already a Match member, your amazing prize, I hope it's going to be an amazing prize, is you're going to have a one-on-one coaching session with me. I'm going to so look forward to meeting you in person. If you are a non-Match member, your prize is going to be 6 months membership with Match. What awesome prizes you're going to have. So don't forget to enter the prize draw. In the meantime, we are going to be taking loads of your questions.
Yes. So, do you have any tips in being able to improve a dating profile? How do I make it more attractive?
Oh, yes. Okay, so this is a good practical one, right? Because why wouldn't you want to have a better dating profile that does a really good job of communicating who you are and what you're about? So I'm going to go for the obvious thing first, and I'm going to talk photos. I do think in a social media generation, our expectations for what is a good photo have increased. So I want you to look at the photos you have, and I want to ask you a few questions, and well, for you to ask yourself a few questions about them. First of all, is that profile well lit? Is that picture well lit? Often pictures in natural light that aren't very pixelated and grainy look better. So we want a picture that really pops and that's really clear. I also want to be able to see you clearly in these pictures. So I want you to take off the hat, take off the sunglasses. Instead of going for I'm not going to really show much of myself, or I'm only going to put a couple of pictures up there in case someone isn't attracted to me physically. Remember, there will be many people who are attracted to exactly what you have to offer. So making sure that you present yourself clearly is really important. Also, let's go for a bit of variety in the background, because people would look at photos and they will read into it what your lifestyle is like and what it would be like to spend time with you as a romantic partner. So because of this, if you do like travel, let's get a bit of travel in the background and try and mix it up so that not all the photos there are the bathroom selfie. I am guilty of this a little bit myself. So that's pictures. Should we talk a bit about profile?
Yes, and in terms of what would we put in this in terms of the profile statement even?
Yes.
Is it something where you should have it really long? Should you keep it short and sweet? Should you not put anything there at all to try and
definitely say you got to say something. Yeah, okay. It doesn't say mystery if you don't fill in your online dating profile. It says, I couldn't be bothered to fill in my online dating profile, which is, if you're looking for that committed, connected relationship, that is not the message you want to send out. So even if it takes you, an hour or 2 this weekend, let's do a rewrite on it. And I've also got an exercise to improve your profile. So I want you to read your profile right now. And I want you to notice where you use words that aren't specific. So that could be something along the lines of, I'm going to go for the all-time classic. I have to say, I like going out, but equally, I like staying in. First of all, that is everybody. Everybody likes that. So we're really not getting a sense of your individuality and what makes you special and awesome. Likewise, if you're saying, I like travel or I like food, again, this is going to be kind of most people. So what I want you to do is when you notice yourself using words that are non-specific, I want you to replace the non-specific words with words that are more specific. So instead of saying travel, you say, I had a most amazing trip last year to Thailand. I'm a bit of a fan of spicy food. That is so much better already than just saying, I like travel and food.
Yeah, nice.
Awesome.
Very good.
And you know what else I like about a well-written profile?
What's that?
It could be a good way to see who's read it. So when you're looking at the messages that are coming in, you can sometimes see quite clearly who has taken the trouble to read your profile and to try and write a message that's going to really connect with you. You can even, this is maybe a good one, especially for the ladies out there, you can even sneakily write something like, ask me what my favourite movie is. Or ask me about the time I went to a music festival, wink. Now, you can see then immediately who is picking up on that and is using that information to create their first message. It's a really good way to begin to filter and look out for the people who are most invested and most interested in you.
Mic drop.
Boom.
Okay, so next question from Shane. Okay, what is the ideal type of venue for a first date?
Ooh, okay, I'm going to go curveball on this. I think we may disagree even, but I'm going to.
We might do, yeah.
I like a daytime date.
Okay.
Little bit left field. The reason I like a daytime date is I think, what do we want to see? We don't want to be trying to get rid of first date nerves or try to make something more fun via maybe having a few drinks. Sometimes it can be good to actually get a really real impression of a person. I also say, from lots of dating coaching we do, that sometimes that message of, so should we go out and get some drinks then? Just sounds a bit like a message that everybody else says. So think about, like we said at the beginning, can you choose a date that is going to be fun for you? And what would that be? Would that be getting an iced coffee and going for a walk around the park? Would it be getting some Boris bikes if you live in London and going around on those together? Think about an activity that you would love to share with a person. Because if you choose something that's unique, you're going to be saying a lot more about who you are. And remember, again, this is a way you create a filter for those experiences.
I would say that is actually, like in terms of whether it's the daytime or nighttime, I suppose that's going to come down to your own schedule and timetable. But in terms of what you do, it's got to be around something that you're going to enjoy and you're going to like doing. So, for example, I'm a massive fan of having hot chocolate, so I'd go on hot chocolate dates. I like eating cake
you like
and
hot Ribena
waffles.
as well, don't you?
Guilty. Cakes, waffles. So there's places you can go to where you can enjoy that. I'm a fan of laser tag. I love dancing as well.
Oh yeah, you do like a
The Boris
dance.
bikes, I've even tried that as well. So it's really like, in terms of when you're gonna, when you're thinking about the venue, again, that question is maybe stemming from how can I impress this person? How can I receive this person's approval? Instead of actually, what would I like to do which I can invite them into?
Exactly, I love that. And finally, just on a pure logistical point of view, choosing date venues which either have something going on, whether that's an art gallery or, you know, a fairground, so there's stuff to talk about, or choosing also venues where you can sit side by side. You're going to find it's actually a lot more natural to create or try to create touch with the person when you actually have a chance to sit next to one another versus on the other side of a dinner table, which can feel a bit like, well, like an interview.
Yeah, exactly. Key things to remember: do what works for you, what you like, and where you're going to have fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. Next question. Question from Heather from America.
Wow, hi Heather.
Hey, from America. What is your best advice for dating fatigue?
Oh, okay, so
It's a bit similar to what we might have kind of touched on earlier as well.
I think
some of
so.
those
So
points.
first of all, if you are experiencing dating fatigue, first thing I would do is I'd take a little break.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're never going to date again and that's all over. It means a week or two, just focus on your friends. Yeah, give yourself permission to relax, do some exercise, do things that make you feel really, really good. Now, when you go back to dating, I think a huge part of our dating success is actually choosing to date in a way that we really enjoy and that we find rewarding. So if you're going on to your online dating profile and you're like, oh gosh, better go on here again and send a few messages, I would say that because your beginning mindset isn't very good, and we understand why you've got there. Dating can definitely be tiring, frustrating if you're not coming at it from the right place. What you want to remember to do is you want to be like, okay, I would also do some mindful dating. So instead of replying to people on your online dating site, and instead of saying stuff like, oh, you know, doing it in the queue, or while you're waiting for a bus, or something where you're very distracted and time poor, set aside proper time for it, whether that's 30 minutes every evening or every other evening. So you can really enjoy the process of going through those messages. And because you're not doing that response from a frantic state of mind, you're going to probably find that you make way better choices as to who you start to engage with.
Nice, perfect. Okay, next question. From Chicken Wing, also not from America, but this time from Great Britain. How do you stay confident and positive after a dating setback?
Ooh. So dating setback, I am going to say that what could a dating setback be so the other people can connect with that? I think that could be anything from someone didn't get back to your message, someone didn't want to keep seeing you, you find yourself really liking someone and then they didn't quite reciprocate. So I think the beginnings of this, I think it all comes from, again, the space of how we choose to see it. Because we could choose to see someone not getting back to us as, I have just lost out on this amazing person. Or
That you hardly know.
That you hardly know. Good point, good point. Or you could choose to see it as, you know what, actually, this person has shown me pretty early on that they're not open to having the same level of relationship as I wanted. So I'm clear about that, which is going to allow me to let that go and put me in a better place to go and meet some of the many, many other potentially right people that are out there. So I think it comes back to remembering this isn't all on you, chicken wing. The other person has that 50% to play as well. And we want you to start really prioritizing, looking out for someone who is equally invested. And remember, you are worth that equal investment.
Yeah. Just adding on to that, you get to acknowledge, you can count it as actually a win versus a loss because you've actually weeded out and filtered out someone who's not a match for you. So now you've got more space for other people who potentially will be a match for you.
Awesome.
Next question from Richard. How can I move things on to show that I'm interested in being more than friends? It's usually a simple question as well for guys. Definitely, that comes up a lot.
This is a common dating pitfall.
Yeah.
And I get that it really is difficult because I would imagine, Richard, that the reason that you have been holding back so far isn't because you don't like the person, it's because you're wanting to make sure they feel comfortable and you're looking out for a signal from them that they are open to the same thing as you.
Yeah.
So it's probably coming from quite a nice space. And actually, when that's constantly misinterpreted as you just want friendship, you probably feel quite misunderstood. To not feel misunderstood anymore, let's start to reprioritize Richard communicating his intentions clearly versus you taking too much of a backseat. And this doesn't have to be too much. This doesn't mean you have to be all over a person. It simply means that we have these clear points of communicating intentions. So, couple of examples. When you meet a person, you're not meeting to hang out or talk about that project. You are meeting up to have a date. So if there's any question of that, just say, if someone's like, what, like for a date? You'll be like, yeah, or how about we meet up first and see how we feel at the end. So right from the get-go, you are being super clear that that's your reason and intention for spending time with a person.
Yeah.
Secondly, when you're on that date, a really good thing to practice is to start to do one great compliment to a person because you only need one. We don't want to do compliment bomb where I'm like, oh, but your shoes and your hair and your eyes and your way of talking. We don't want to go there. Instead, we want to make it really sincere. So remember, you should be selecting that person based on them showing up as having one of those must-have qualities that's on their list. If they have a must-have quality, I'd advise you saying something like, I just want to say, I really like how playful you are. So remember, it's, I just want to say, a little bit of a touch, I really like how playful you are. This is a way of showing someone that you've really listened to them and that there's something that they are doing, that they're contributing, which is making you really connect with them and like them more.
Yeah, nice.
Anything you'd like to add to that?
No, I think you actually covered that very well. Yeah.
Good. So remember as well, Richard, this is also keep your intentions clear because you prioritizing, filtering people for the kind of relationship that you would like to have, and also saving some of your time, that is more important sometimes than playing it way too safe and therefore not getting that connection that you deserve.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so our next question from Moneypenny.
Ooh,
I like that.
Moneypenny.
That's nice. So I'm a single mum and I feel it puts people off. How can I be honest about this without scaring them?
Oh, first of all, bless you, Moneypenny. You sound like a really lovely woman, and I am sorry at the moment that you've seen this piece of information as something that will scare someone off.
Yeah,
That's not how it is. First of all, obviously, your motherhood and everything that you've achieved is something you should be super proud of.
Win.
It's a win, but it's true to say, not everybody.
And you're a single mum. Sorry, I've got to massively acknowledge that as well.
Yeah,
because I was brought up in a single household as well. So yeah.
You know, that's props to you. So I think we want to shift how you are currently seeing this. And then let's think about this. There will, of course, be, as with everything, whether it's being a single mum, whether it's having a disability, whether it's being from a particular background, whether it's having brunette hair, there is always going to be some people out there who, for whatever their reasons, whatever you've got just isn't a match for them. Then there's going to be some people who would be like, wow, single mum, that's really impressive, you know, and who can recognise that as a plus. And then there's going to be a lot of people in the middle who actually, if they have the opportunity to realise how awesome you are going to really connect with that. But you're going to find these people who are really going to be appreciative of you, not by hiding or feeling embarrassed about that piece of information, because this really is something you should be proud of, and it is a win for you.
Yeah. This is something you definitely need to own. This is something you definitely need to share, because this is actually an advantage for you to be able to see who are those people who will be actually a match to you and what it is that you're looking for versus those who aren't. So actually use it as a way to actually filter people out, because you said, how can I go about sharing that without scaring people off? Well, if that person's scared, then they're not someone who's potentially a match for what it is that you're looking for, because ideally you want someone who can be comfortable with the fact that you are a single mother.
Exactly.
Period, really.
Exactly. So make sure that you no longer hide that information or worry about when to say that.
Yeah.
Instead, take ownership of it, introduce it early on in the conversation, if not on your profile. Maybe bring that up on that first date, or maybe when you're ahead of the first date, have a phone call, have a chat with them, mention it. And if it doesn't connect with them, then don't come from that space that you've done something wrong. Instead, remember that's a filter. And also, please remember, literally everyone, I have something, Ash has something, and everybody else watching this live coaching stream, everyone will have something that they're not sure how someone's going to think about them, or they have a fear of being judged around that. But remember, the best people out there for you absolutely will accept you and love you as you are. So make sure you take pride in that information.
And what you can do as well is actually use the concern that you have, use the thing that you're worried about, and actually acknowledge that and actually call that out from the beginning. So it becomes something that you don't feel you need to hide, or something you don't need to kind of, what's this eggshells
Walk on
catchphrase?
eggshells.
That's it, yeah, walk on eggshells. Yeah, okay. So next question from Isabella. What should you definitely not talk about on a date?
I am going to go out there and say it is all about how you talk about something, not what you talk about. So obviously, if you go on
That was good. That was a gem.
I was like, I was like, okay. So if you're on that date and you're suddenly thinking, you know, there's some obvious ones. Of course, if you're talking about your ex and you spend 90% of the conversation saying about how wonderful they are or how heartbroken you might be, that would probably be a no-no. But the way that you can choose what to talk about is just like we were saying earlier. Remember, you are the interviewer, not the interviewee on a first date, and because of that, you want to choose topics of conversation that are going to give you an opportunity to see if that other person connects with you. So if I was you, I'd write down 3 things that you're either really passionate about or that are important to you, and use those to guide the conversation. And if you bring up something on that first date and there isn't that level of interest or connection, that doesn't mean that you have brought up the wrong topic of conversation. It might mean that either on both sides there just isn't that match, or you might also have someone who isn't curious enough about the other person. So remember, keep that curiosity for the other person and start to prioritize talking about things that are going to make a great match for you.
Yeah, nice. So, next question from Kyle from the US. What is a respectful way to tell your date that you're not interested in continuing the dating process with them? Very good question.
Very good question.
That's
from
really
Kyle
good.
there,
Yeah.
because I think a big kind of modern day dating bugbear
Yeah.
is ghosting.
Yes.
Yeah, how much women questions we get about that? Loads of questions. So ghosting, for those of you who are, I guess, lucky enough to really not have heard of it, ghosting is where there is no closure to the dating experience. It's basically you've been on some dates or a date with a person, or even had a relationship with them sometimes, and this person just suddenly disappears off the face of the earth without explanation. Now, as a process, for anyone who has been ghosted, whilst it can sometimes, I think, come from a kind of very misplaced sense of not wanting to hurt another person's feelings, the result of that is, of course, that the other person doesn't have a clear ending.
Yeah.
They don't have an explanation. And these are 2 things that are really so necessary to being able to have closure and to move on. So we really owe it to one another to have that clarity. Now, I think there's also a way that you can have that clarity and still be kind. And also remember that people often prefer to be clear and to know rather than to not know what's going on. So I would suggest probably the medium of how you do it will depend how long you've been getting to know a person. If it is that you've been on just a date with them, I think we can send a message. If you've been dating for a while though, I think this is going to require a phone call or a conversation in person because people will feel more able to let things go if you have given them that respect to have that conversation with them. So a good way you can put this across, maybe if it's after a first date, is you could say something like, thanks so much for meeting me, because you want to thank them for
acknowledging them for their time.
Acknowledge the win or acknowledge their time. Then you could say, if you want to, I think this is quite a nice way to avoid someone, save someone's a little bit of face here, is you can say, I'm sure I'm not alone here, but I didn't feel that we had that level of connection to keep seeing each other, but I wanted to be upfront about that and wish you all the best.
Yeah.
So what have you, so we've said...
And respectful.
And respectful. So we've thanked them for what they have contributed. We've acknowledged that you didn't feel, and you think, again, there's a two-wayness to it. There probably wasn't that two-way connection. You've also been really clear. No one likes to hear, oh, maybe we can pick things up when work's calmed down a bit. Don't go there. Instead, it's much better to have a clear resolution to things than allowing things to continue.
Yeah, very nice. Okay. So, next question from Claire. How do you know if a date is going somewhere?
Can I be a bit woo-woo about this and say, I don't think you know if a date is going somewhere. So this is a tough one because what do you want to know after you've had a date, particularly with someone you quite like?
It depends on what you mean by somewhere as well, because what someone somewhere means might be different for someone else's somewhere.
So you're looking for two somewheres which are the same destination. So I'm going to assume in this case you mean a relationship. Again, whilst we want to move away from this idea that on those early few dates that both of you are kind of coming to a conclusion about whether you are meant to be in a relationship together or you're seeing one another as boyfriend or girlfriend material. Instead, as hard as it is, because you're going to be wanting to read the signs, you're going to be thinking, oh, where did they take me? Did they message me back quickly? Rather than reading the runes to try to come to a conclusion more quickly than perhaps we are ever supposed to be able to. Instead, it can be quite good to just go, you know what? I had quite a nice time. I would be quite open to seeing them again, and I'm just going to see where this goes. So you want to, of course, be clear about what your interpretation of the date was. But remember, the purpose of those early dates is really just to see, am I having fun? Do we have a connection? Would I like to see this person again? So keep that expectation in that ballpark and try not to project too far forwards into the future.
Yeah, it's remembering again to stay focused on the process along the way as well. Yeah. Okay, so from Dan S. What would your advice be for meeting someone when you live in a small town?
Ooh.
We've had that before.
Oh, yeah, we've had that before.
Yeah.
So first of all, of course, if you are using Match and you are meeting people through the world of online dating, we are no longer geographically limited. There's going to be so many different places that you can potentially meet someone. And also remember, if dating, you've sat there down and you're like, right, dating is a priority for me, it is something that is really important, then you know what you have to do. You have to dedicate that time and that effort. So it might mean that you spend a bit more time in your car than most people go into that first date. You also might mean that you have a phone call or a Skype call with someone before you go on that date, because it's a bit more of an investment of your time and your energy getting there. But again, if it is a priority of yours, you're going to keep casting your net wide. You're going to maybe travel to the nearest bigger town. You're going to put a bit more effort traveling that distance to go on those dates. You're going to have a few more phone calls, but ultimately you're still going to get the same results.
Yeah, you're on fire.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I think that's it for the kind of the live Q&As now. But of course, obviously...
Oh, we've got some winners.
Yes, we have.
Okay, so remember, just as a recap, the Match member winner is going to get a coaching session with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to really look forward to that. I'm going to get a chance to really get to know you personally and help you out. I can't wait to work with you. For the non-Match member, you're going to get 6 months of Match membership, which is going to give you so many opportunities to put the advice that we've discussed today into practice. So, without further ado, Ashley, would you like to announce who our winners are?
Sure. So we've got Kimberly from the UK. Woo. You are our winner, and you're going to have your own personal one-on-one coaching with Hayley.
Hey,
Quinn,
Kimberly.
the lady
really
herself.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And in terms of the non-Match member, in regards to the 6 months, it's Silver Pear from the UK.
Woo.
You are our second winner.
Mysterious Silver Pet. Well, thank you so much. First of all, thank you, Kimberly, and thank you, Silver Pear, for entering. But also thank you to everybody else who has entered today and who has participated and joined in with us. We've had a really great time, but we couldn't have developed and done this live coaching session without your contribution. So I think it's time to acknowledge a win here and say thank you to yourself for sending all these amazing questions in and for listening, and to also for spending this time dedicated to improving your own dating life. That is awesome. Obviously, we've had a lot of questions. We have tried to incorporate as many as possible. If there were some that we didn't quite get around to, I want you to stay tuned because we may be covering that again at another session in the future. If you are not yet a Match member and you want to hear about potential future sessions and also, of course, meet the wealth of single people that are out there and who are also motivated to meet you, make sure you sign up using the link that is going to appear on this page. Finally, as well, if you have watched this, I know we've covered a lot today.
Yeah.
We've gone through a lot. You might have been filling in, I hope you've been writing those notes. If you haven't and you've been on a sort of bus or something, don't panic because you will be emailed shortly with a recording of this session. So you have the chance to listen to it again. And I would advise, if you can, listen to it again at leisure, make those notes and really put those changes into action.
Yeah.
So one last time from Ash and I, we wanted to say a huge thank you. Major win. Thank you for joining us, and we'll look forward to chatting to you again another time.
Take care.